Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone. My name is Asyifa with student number 39, and today I'm going to talk about English material development, focusing on the principles by Brian Tomlinson. These principles helps us create materials that are not only educational but also fun and engaging for learners. So, in the first slide, what is English material development? What do we mean by material development? It's the process of creating, evaluating, and adjusting things like textbooks, worksheets, videos, or even online games like Kahoot or WordWall. For example, if we are going to teach vocabulary about food, we might create a matching game using pictures of food and their names, or we might adapt a real restaurant menu for a reading activity. Good materials combine theory on how people learn languages and practical classroom experiences, like what works with real students. And then in the next slide is the goals of effective materials. So what makes materials effective? The goal is to help learners use the language meaningfully. For example, a listening activity using a real phone or a real phone call, so it can help students understand real life English. Or you can use a writing task like composing a birthday invitation in English allows them to produce the language. Also, materials should spark curiosity or emotions. For instance, using a short video about travel adventures could make learners excited to talk about their own dream destinations. And then in the next slide, we're going to talk about SLA informed principles. So, according to SLA researchers, materials should, the first one, give authentic input. For example, instead of fake textbook conversation, we could use clips from English YouTubers, like real life scenes, or maybe from movies or short movies or Instagram or TikTok reels. And then we also have to encourage output, not only input, but also we have to encourage the output in the form of writing and speaking. Like, for example, we can ask students to interview each other using new vocabulary or write their own experiences. And noticing is also the key. For example, you have to show students two similar sentences, like if I were you, I'd call her, and I will call her tomorrow. Then ask what's the difference between these two sentences or between these two phrases. So finally, learners absorb more when they feel confident and motivated. A game-based quiz like quizzes can reduce anxiety while still testing knowledge. So the interaction helps improve both fluency and accuracy. Okay, in the next slide, we are going to talk about Tomlinson's core principle. Here are some of Tomlinson's main ideas. I believe there are 5 principles. The first one, use authentic text. The second one is connect new with old, emotional engagement. And then cognitive challenge in discovery learning. For example, if we want to use authentic text, like reading a real Instagram post or a newspaper article, not just textbook or paragraphs. And then if we want to connect new with old, if students already know the word buy and shop, we have to teach them the synonym or the other way how to say those words. For example, teach them the word purchase or retail. And then for emotional engagement, we can teach the student a lesson about environmental issues, might use a video about pollution, so it can make students feel and reflect. And then for cognitive challenge, we can give the students like a mystery to solve in English, like a logic puzzle or Scrabble. And then the last one is discovery learning. Instead of saying this is the past tense, let's let students figure it out by analyzing a short story together. And then we're going to talk about input and output. Input is what students receive, like a podcast, maybe a short movie, a cooking video, a conversation overheard on a movie clip, or vocabularies from the menu, or we're not only provide like textbook or newspaper, but it can be from anywhere. And then output is what students produce. Like, so when students are able to ask for direction in a role play, or they can write a diary entry in English, or they can create a short vlog. So after watching a video, like for example, when students are given an assignment or task, after watching a video about tourists visiting Bali, students can be asked to role play as a tourist guide explaining Indonesian culture. So this connects inputs with output and makes the language meaningful. So after the input here will be watching a video about a tourist visiting Bali. From that video, they can learn new vocabularies, new phrases, and new expressions to use on how to when they become a tourist. And then they remake the video with their own capacity and understanding, and they can use the language, in this case is English, meaningfully. And the last one is design with engagement in mind. So we should design materials with engagement in mind. For instance, story-based lesson, students read a story and edit out, and then, or maybe in the form of games like bingo with vocabulary words, or maybe Scrabble. And the last one will be debates. This is for a more advanced students, and we will give them topics that suit them, or the most updated topics that can be used in the debates. And then we also can include noticing tasks. For example, giving students these two sentences. The first one, for example, he goes to school every day. The second one, he went to school yesterday. So what's the difference between these two sentences? They can analyze and notice the differences, and they can explain. So it will help them discover grammar patterns naturally with this strategy. By engaging in this, where I differentiate between two different sentences with two different grammatical structure. So my final thoughts about this English material development. Great learning materials will have to mix theory, creativity, and learner-centered thinking. For example, a project where students design their own cafe and write the menu in English includes vocabulary, creativity, teamwork, and real-life skills. So it has to be involving a theory, creativity, and learner-centered thinking, and not teacher-centered thinking. So as Tomlinson said, developing materials is both an art and a science. You need structure, but you also need passion and creativity to make the materials truly come alive. Okay, I think that's enough. Thank you so much for your attention. I hope you now have a better understanding of what makes English learning materials effective, and maybe even feel inspired to create our own. Thank you.